said the same thing.
Hold on. The board had a lot of pressing issues, and as you saw, we came out a little bit late. More than a little bit late. We're supposed to be out here at 8 o'clock. We have one other issue that we must have 5 more minutes to discuss, because I'm pretty sure that the public has a great deal of questions concerning this other issue. We didn't even get to it. So I have to apologize, and I have to tell you that we have to take 5 minutes. We're only going to discuss that one item, and then we'll come out, we'll answer all public comment, we'll share what we need to share, but when I tell you 5 minutes, it's going to be 5 minutes. We'll be back out at 20 after. And let it play now?
Okay. You need a roll call
And,
for that, a vote for that.
Yes. Haven't been able to tell time in the past.
It's all right.
Mr. Thomas, if that's your motion, you'll need to have a roll call.
Well, it's not in the second, is it?
Second.
Okay, there's a first and second to go into closed session until 8:20.
5 minutes from when we finally get out.
First, we need to take attendance. Miss Board Secretary, Mr. Thomas, are you here?
Yes.
Mr. Ostreicher? Mr. Silver? Mr. Grunhut? Mr. Zlatkin? Mr. Seidler? Mr. Fink? Miss Micchio? Miss Gonzalez? Thank you. We have 8 members here this evening. We'll be back according to Mr. Thomas. Now we need a motion. Mr. Thomas is saying to come back in 5 minutes, which would be no later than 8:25. And
8:21.
No.
Okay, is there a second?
8:18.
Great, 8:18.
I got to watch. We'll be back.
Is there a second? All in favor? Thank you. We'll be back when Mr. Thomas said.
I believe it was Henny Moses and Ricky Burton, and they are coordinators in our early childhood program. We thought you would enjoy the development of our children, so please take it in and enjoy. The Campus 1 and Campus 2 at Oak Street. If you maybe somebody can read it, I can't see it.
Others may say, whenever adversity passes their way, let me run, let me hide, oh I must close my eyes. By the time that they're open, they just might fade away. But not you, dear friends, you know just what to do. When faced with a challenge, you always come through, and you've painted a smile on the face of a child, helping to make sure that his dreams come true. There's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart, a glorious gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part, to reach out and touch it with love. There's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart, a glorious gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part, to reach out and touch it with love.
Small piece of heaven, everyone's found, a glorious gift from above. It's sparkle and shine if we each do touches with love. Oh, there's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart. Glorious gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part. Reach out and touch it with love. Oh, there's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart. Glorious gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part. Reach out and touch it with love. Oh, there's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart. Glorious gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part. Reach out and touch it. Reach out and touch it. Reach out and touch it with love.
Can you just turn on the lights behind you? Or wherever that.
I think everyone should, for those of you who don't know, the preschool program opened up, and the Lakewood preschool program opened up in September, and the progress has been remarkable. And I want to thank the teachers and obviously the students and parents, but in particular both Ricky Burton and Henny Moses, as well as Amanda, who just joined us as well, Amanda Colon, for creating a safe and educationally sound preschool. And my many thanks for this wonderful event, and we thought we'd share it with you. If you haven't seen it, please come by and visit. Of course, call the coordinator first. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. President, I think you should allow the Assistant Board Secretary just to read the opening statement, which by law is...
Certainly.
Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, the Open Public Meetings Act, I, Lisa Miller, notified the public that notice of the date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. 1, by posting such notice on the public announcement board, the Lakewood Board of Education offices, and the Lakewood Township Municipal Building. 2, by mailing such notice to the offices of the Asbury Park Press and the Tri-Town News. 3, by filing such notice with the board secretary. 4, by filing such notice to all individuals who request to be paid for a copy of CD.
Okay, before we move on to the minutes, I do want to make a motion. We have our student government liaison here, and I would like to give her an opportunity, to share before we move forward. So I'd like to make a motion that we go out of turn and allow her to give us a report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Seeing none. Go ahead.
There's just a couple things going on in the high school right now. Recently, the principal allowed all classes to go see the NFL films presentation in the auditorium, which was great because a lot of people did not want to stay up till 1:30 a.m. to watch it. The basketball team is doing really well. They are currently ranked #1 in their division. The high school is also just finishing up auditions for the spring musical, which is going to be Cinderella. You guys should all come and see it. Our SAFE program, the Students Against Violence Everywhere, will be conducting a visit to select elementary schools to work with 6th graders, which will be a great thing for them. And on January 29th, there will be a Glow in the North dance sponsored by our seniors and a little fundraiser.
Well, thank you, and you can be more than, you're more than welcome to stay as long as you would like, but hopefully your teachers gave you plenty, ample homework to keep you more than busy.
Just 18 chapters.
then, you know, you could feel free to go ahead and, you know, dismiss yourself whenever you would
You
like.
did have textbooks, right?
Oh, Michael.
He opened the door.
Mr. Chairman, we do have quite a few people who've signed up. Shall I
Oh,
begin?
and before we move forward, I would like to take, you know, we really had a major loss and tragedy that we've all encountered here in this community, and if we could just take a moment of silence to recognize this tragic loss. Thank you, everyone. So at this time, I guess we're going to approve the minutes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
It's a lot. I make a motion to approve all the ones that I was here for.
Is there a second?
Yes, is that all done?
Those are the minutes on that have been, there are some still being typed,
Yes.
but these are the ones that are up to date for now. Once you approve them, they will be posted.
Okay.
So there's a motion and a second.
Yes,
Any
there
comment?
None.
Seeing none, Ms. Miller?
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez? Yes. Ms. Micchio?
Yes.
Mr. Ostriker?
Yes.
Mr. Seidler?
Yeah.
Mr. Silver?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Slatkin? Motion passes.
Okay.
Recognition of the public, Mr.
Recognition of the
Chairman?
public, correct.
Okay, there are quite a few names. I'll just read as they are. First name says Goldberger.
And, we have a lot of people here, so I'm gonna reiterate the rules so that everybody understands, so that we don't have any misconceptions. Everyone's given 4 minutes. If you want questions answered and you talk up to your 4 minutes, it'll be at the discretion of the board if we answer it. So if you want time to have your questions answered, you'll want to put your question out there and give us an opportunity. At this point, we have not opted for any back and forth, so what you need to do is put all your questions on the table, and then we will answer them accordingly. And we're going to try to be fair to everyone. So having said that, the first person,
Mr. Goldberger?
please step forward.
Or Mrs. I'm sorry.
Come right to the
That says
microphone, your
Goldberger.
name, please.
And if you could just give your address when you go to the microphone.
Address is 1221 Todd Court, Lakewood. We just have an issue with the busing. Doesn't show up. The bus driver is extremely nasty to the kids.
And what bus company would that be?
NICLA.
Okay, just so the board is aware, which you are aware, the board authorized me to meet with the Transportation Committee with the bus companies today. The board is not accepting the current situation, is actively seeking ways to improve it. I do see in the audience tonight several bus companies who are here. I would ask the board at the appropriate time and place to meet with those bus companies, because the board has made a decision, at least a majority, that the situation cannot continue. Anything else, Mrs. Goldberger?
Just, I have a lot of situations.
Please feel free
You have
during
4
your...
minutes.
Okay, so I would say about 3 times a week, the bus shows up. There's 5 days a week. That's without the snow situation. She will come anytime from 7:58 till 8:20. When it's 17 degrees out, it's very cold for the kids to stand that long. If they're not at the corner, she can rip right past them. If they're running to the corner, she'll decide if she wants to stop or not. I have 2 boys, a 5th grader and a 1st grader. My 5th grader got on the bus because a 5th grader and a 1st grader. My 1st grader was a few feet behind my 5th grader. She closed the door in his face, so I started screaming, like, wait, he's right there, just let him get on the bus. So she opened the school bus door and she started yelling, hurry up! I mean, he's a few feet away. It shouldn't have to be nasty to him.
Can I interrupt through the chair? Did you report this to the Transportation Department?
The beginning of the school year, I was here like 3 times. And after that, I just gave up. I had 4 kids. I have a business.
Who have you spoken to in the Transportation Department?
I don't remember recall.
Have they helped you out at all, or did
They were very nice. I have to say that. It definitely got a little better from no days showing up to 3 days showing up. That definitely worked. But And then in the afternoon also, my poor first grader has an egg again, and the bus breaks down, I would say 4 days a week. And he comes home after my fifth grader, and it's dark out, and he
Did you
runs.
speak directly to the vendor?
Sir, I think we have a lot of people, and we sort of set a way in which we're going to ask. I think we started doing exactly what I just said we're not going to do. Have questions, answer questions, have questions, answer questions. Read all the questions, answer all the questions, or we're going to set a precedent. And yeah, so we can address these issues probably offline, but we have to stay on course with this. So, do you have anything else that you want to lay out from your letter? Because we want to answer any and all questions at the very end. And
Right, I would just say buses that break down, if you have a business,
yes,
you gotta keep them running.
I agree.
Right? I'm saying if my business, something went wrong, I told people every day, please come back, I'd be out of business.
Okay.
Through the chairman, before the Mrs. Goldberger leaves, again, we're here to make sure that the money we are spending is spent effectively. That is what the board has decided. It sounds obvious, but this board has a commitment to this. Have you attempted to speak with the vendor about these issues?
Yeah,
And?
well, they're working on it.
They're working on it.
And when I called to find out in the morning, should I go out or not because it's so cold out, it will be there in 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, it's still not there.
So we could properly identify the route. You know the route number? I don't know whose phone that
Couple
is.
people here from
Okay, do
I
you
know the bus driver's name.
Mike, we're really not going to be able to do this.
Well, we are actually, because we have 9 seconds left. Do you
But
have...
if we're going to do it this way, then everyone will be able to ask questions and have their questions
She was
answered and
completed,
continue to
Mr.
ask
President.
questions. Pardon me?
She was completed. What school do your children go to?
Tower Center.
Thank you.
Everybody can do the same thing.
Thank you.
All right.
The next name, if I'm reading this right, I'm just reading what's written here. Tesler. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry.
Hi, just again from, okay, Yuki Tesler, 1225 J. Scott Court. Just again, as Mrs. Goldberger came up, I'm here to, with my complaint, also again, for Negba Bus Company, my child attends Taurus MS, and after calling Negba first directly before contacting the Board of Ed, calling them 5, 6 times, speaking to the secretary, and never getting a return call back. And finally, when I did get through, they said, you know, the Mr. So-and-so is in, and he'll call you back if you want to wait on hold. I said, no, I do not want to wait on hold, because after 6 times calling and the same complaints of never showing up and so on and so forth, buses breaking down, you know, it was just extremely frustrating. And all of us have little children, taking everybody to the corner of the bus. I live at the bottom of the cul-de-sac, so the bus doesn't come down. You know, in the rain, snow, whatever else it is, it's extremely, since the beginning of the school year, and now we're well into January, almost February, it's a little much already.
Are you completed? May I, through the chair and the board, may I ask a few questions? Yep. So your child goes to Taurus MS?
Yes.
Which is different than Taurus Ara?
Right.
Right?
No, she also goes to Taurus.
Oh, I wrote the wrong school.
Taurus MS.
Okay, and did you speak to the board's transportation department?
Yes, I did.
And?
I actually spoke to, I'm not sure, maybe it was Bill or Patty, and I also spoke to, last week, the superintendent. I see her name over here.
Ms. Silva?
Yeah.
Okay, and what did Patty or Bill advise you?
They took my complaint. I did, you know, they sent me a complaint form. I did not send in yet. I first wrote it out in extreme frustration, so I thought maybe I would, you know, get a new complaint form and write it out properly. And that was it.
If you could fill out the complaint form, because for the board to take action, they need to have documentation, data in writing. It doesn't have to be typed, it doesn't have to be fancy. And if you could, if you'd like, fax a copy to me, you can get that fax number after the meeting, 886-0806. Thank you, Mrs. Tesler.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Right.
In order to save time, I would just like to ask all the parents that are here, I assume everybody's here to file a complaint. Is that correct?
No.
A lot are.
Assuming some are, Mr. Fink, what is the point?
I would like to just, in order to save time, just have a, a raise of hands, how many people are complaining against things with buses.
We're not, Mr. Fink, that would be inappropriate. The public has the right to speak, sir.
Just remember, we'll get till 11:30 and that's it.
Reputation of the public, next person, please.
Mr., if I'm reading this correct, it's written here as, it may say Fligmary, I could be reading that wrong. Or, is there a Fligmary, or, again, can you read this differently than I am?
Fligman.
Fligman, I'm sorry.
Sorry, my name is not Fligman, my name is Schwinder. I'm going to take the complaint for Fligman as we are in touch every morning. Is the bus going to be coming? Is the bus not going to be coming?
Can you attend to, excuse me, if we could ask, thank you.
What, me?
Now, Mr. Rush, please, I beg. Mr., what is your name?
Schwinder.
What is your address?
1273 Cambridge Court.
Are you on this list?
I am not. You want me to second?
The way it works, according to the Mr. President,
Yeah.
you have to be signed here.
And I'm sure we'll have ample individuals to share the same, but in the future, you definitely want to put your name down in the interest of everybody who has put their name down. I'll be asking you to step down, please.
So I think Fligman's 4 minutes?
No.
No. Next.
It says here, Leibowitz.
This is Lakewood, 304 Garrett Street. I am a parent and I'm also a parent advocate. I attend many child study team meetings and placement meetings, and it's become apparent to me that there is no status quo, that every time I attend a meeting, the district comes up with a new ruling that I didn't know that it's legal to change policy. I think that was a very beautiful video that was shown of the preschool. I suggest that you show a video as well of the out-of-district placements to show that there was no physically challenged children in this classroom, nor was there any special equipment. So I suggest that you also give ample opportunity to see, for the community to see what goes on with multiply handicapped children as well. So my question to the board is that I understand that prior meetings that I attended, that out-of-placement students were offered 3 choices of out-of-placement schools, and now they are not offered any choices, and that the district has decided what a choice should be made for the parents. So I believe that this is not legal, that to change the status quo from 1 month before to the following month, unless there's been new laws passed as to the rights of parents for out-of-district placement.
Do you have any additional questions?
My question is, what is the legality of making these changes to Mike Winzelbach? And also I saw in the motions that were listed on the Lakewood Scoop that Mrs. Silva is exploring special education placements in her district, and I would appreciate if the public would present in the same fashion that they present this beautiful video of preschool in the district, that they present what it looks like for multiply handicapped children as well.
Okay, well, Mike, you can answer the first.
As far as what was posted on that blog, that was posted by a board member, if I'm correct. It wasn't posted by Ms. Silva. Ms. Silva, do you post on the blog?
No, I didn't know.
Okay. As far as I have no specific idea what you're speaking about, in all due respect, my opinion is the law, and the law is an IEP team decision is made regarding placement. It is interesting to note that parent is listed as the first member of an IEP team. A parent who I believe knows the child best, at least on a daily basis, should, and as far as we know, has input into the process. As far as choices, I am not sure what choices you're discussing.
I guess I have a chance I have a chance to answer that?
Yes. No, Michael, I think what she was saying is basically that I might be wrong, but she was talking about when they go through the child study team, if they have an opportunity to choose.
He has a chance to answer his questions because he set the precedent on that earlier.
He did.
Let her answer his question.
I would like Mr. Thomas.
Huh?
if you want to clarify.
It just sounded like she said you're taking away the choices. They used to have an opportunity to pick different places, and now it's like they're just saying you go here and that's it, and they're not giving out as many choices. So I could be wrong.
There's no longer a parent, it's no longer a team, it's been
Dictated.
I won't even repeat the behavior that it was displayed by the Lakewood Public Schools, but it was not a collaborative behavior, nor was it any respectful to the parent of the child.
If you have a specific example, you could gladly report that to the superintendent.
Thank you.
And Ms. Leibowitz, the children that you saw on the video, we had their parental consent. We could not display the children that we have that are mostly handicapped, have different needs on it without parental consent, and we didn't get that.
Right, but in those classrooms, there were no physically challenged children, nor was there any special equipment in those classrooms.
We're not gonna take that to another level of debate.
Giving people opportunities to show the public, because there's always a dispute here as to how much funding goes for out-of-placement to see the difference of a child that is physically capable of sitting in a chair versus the ability of a child that cannot sit in a chair.
But we do have the equipment.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Bill Hodge.
Bill Hobbs, 30 Schoolhouse Lane. Number one, I thought it was a terrific video. The only thing that could have made that better is if you could have got Mr. Thomas to sing the song. I read in the paper that there was a fight at one of the schools this last week involving 6 to 8 people, and 2 of them were not students. The question is, how did they get on the school property? What were they doing there? And what is the aftermath of that? Has there been an investigation? Next issue is you have a representative of the student government body, but she's indeed not listed on your agenda. You have board members, support personnel, and under that should be student government representative with her name. Okay. Now, I think that there's more issues to come tonight, so I'm not going to take any more time. I thank you for the time, and I wish you would respond at least to the fight at the school. What happened?
This is the first time I'm hearing that someone from the outside were in the school.
It was reported that 2 of them were non-students.
Okay.
They didn't say, it might have been a teacher in the janitor, I don't know, but 2 of them were not students.
I'll ask Dr. McCord to talk about what she does know with regard to that fight.
Sure.
I question the high school administration. I was not told of anyone but the students. I know that 5 students were brought out by the police. 1 student was taken in an ambulance. He was not part of the fight. He was hit outside of the fight at his head. That we are investigating. Those students are currently suspended and an investigation is going on.
Thank you. But, let us hope they were not from outside of the school, and let us hope that no outside people can get into school while school is in session. Thank you.
Mayor Hertz. Mayor Hertz. What are you saying?
City's gone.
Oh. Baruch Mandel.
Baruch Mandel, 122 Tudor Court. I have a couple of questions. First of all, last week when there was a 90-minute delay for the busing, there was a comment on the Lakewood Scoop. It said Board of Education member Yoni Silver sent us the following statement. The superintendent advised the board members tonight after the decision has been made that this was being done to accommodate the surrounding districts and some of our bus companies who have earlier runs with them. I wanted to know, since when is it Lakewood, I don't know if it was a statement that was actually made, but if this statement was actually made, is it the policy of the district to accommodate other districts before they accommodate the students in Lakewood? And number 2, at the last meeting, Mr. Inselbach asked that the addendum to the transportation contract be posted, and it was. I noticed one of the things that it said in the contract, that any time a bus comes later than 5 minutes before school time, there should be a $50 subtraction per day after 10 days retroactive to the first time. Now, what methods does the school board have for finding out when the school bus arrives late? I can tell you that my child's school bus never comes before 9 o'clock. The reason why I know that is because I've given up on taking the school bus. I now transport my children on my own, and I see sometimes I'm sitting in the parking lot and I see when it comes. It's always there around 9:05, 9:06, so it's definitely not there at 8:55. And, I know that the school board does not take complaints over the phone, which may be part of the problem why the school board isn't finding out about these problems, because if someone's upset, the bus comes late, they're going to pick up the phone and call. If they have to pick up the phone and then get a letter in the mail, and 5 days later they get the letter, they have to put out the complaint and send it back to the district. By then they might not complain. Perhaps if it has to be in writing, maybe if the school board would require the vendors to send in a form at the end of every month, what time did you come in every day, and then you just go through the list, and you see he's coming at 9 o'clock, 9:05, 9:10, you just go through the list, take $50 off a day, and then it probably won't be worth it for them to come late anymore. Thank you.
Through the chair. What bus company is this?
Negba?
What school did your child go to?
Yeshiva Kolter. I did file one complaint in writing stating this. It's a daily occurrence.
Through the chair, when you filed the complaint, did you receive any type of response?
No.
And you filed the complaint which month with the Board of Ed?
I filed it last week.
With the Board of Ed?
I filed it as I came to the office. I filed it.
Did you speak to the vendor? Did you try to speak to the vendor?
I did a couple of times. I called.
And?
I stopped. I'm not on the bus anymore in the morning because I just gave up. It wasn't worth it for me. I'm in the morning. I'm somewhat close to the neighborhood, so I just go a bit earlier and bring my kids to school. Safer anyways. I'm happy. But I know that there's some disagreement. What kind of busing the school board should be paying for this busing? But if we are paying for the busing, I think it should be done properly. I think everyone should be done.
Ms. Silva has a response to the 90-minute delay.
Mr. Mendel, with regard to my decisions for 90-minute, I don't make those decisions by myself. I am guided by the watch commander, who usually calls me at home at about 4:30 to indicate the condition, whether or not. He also cannot make the decisions, but he will tell me if he feels that the roads are hazardous. Once that happens, then I have to make a decision along with my transportation director. And by the way, there we are hopefully going to elect a new, choose a new transportation person, and that's when it's done. For example, my heart is in my mouth right now because supposedly Thursday night there's going to be 4 to 9 inches of snow. Again, on Friday morning, at about 4 o'clock in the morning, a decision has to be made. It's based on whether or not we can get the buses out. It's based on whether or not the schools are plowed appropriately, and whether or not the police chief tells us that the roads are safe for the kids to stand on corners. So it's a hard decision. No superintendent. I would like to live in Florida on days like this, but it's coming up again.
I was just commenting on the statement.
It's 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
Through the chair. I think that the statement that he's referring to by occurred not this week, but last week, when the snow was on Tuesday night and it was a Thursday morning 90-minute delay, which I think was only because it was not the concert.
And I think he's addressing that email which he sent to the board, that the reason why there was a 90-minute delay to accommodate the other districts, which was 2 days after the storm. I think that's what he was referring to.
Well, I wish we had discussed this in closed session, but I would not do it based on one single thing.
Okay.
The board apparently knows about it.
Kim Singleton. I see Ms. Singleton is here.
Kim Singleton, 1415 Bellinger Street. Okay, 3 times I had an incident in the school involving my son, and it's involving bullying. I need to know what you guys are going to do in reference to educating the staff on what bullying is, what it entails. Because I had 3 incidents involving administrators wanting to write my son up on bullying, and they had no clue as to what real bullying entails. Are there any openings for OT and PT, and if so, what is the procedure for applying? And I'd like to know what is the procedure, if any, in place in case of a shooting in our schools. That's it.
Mrs. Singleton, with regard to the bullying, our first session, our first whole day session, at least 4 sessions of the professional development was dedicated to that. Mandatory attendance for principals, assistant principals, guidance counselors, and in every school, the Lakewood Public Schools, the principals are required to offer it. We're going to continue it because we have a February 18th whole day PD, and part of it will be for bullying. We are fighting a notion, things like people accepting the fact that, or thinking that it's correct, boys will be boys. That's not, and understanding that takes a long time, and I'm not making any excuses, but the administrators know very clearly, and if there's some specific thing that I don't know about recently, I'd like to know maybe afterwards. The OT-PT is determined, I believe, by the special ed director based on the IEPs and what's necessary for each child. And I'm sorry I didn't get the 3rd question.
What is our policy in place in case there's a shooting in our school?
No, I mean, as far as notifying parents.
What are we going to do?
The children, if there's a shooting, there's a very specific safety. In fact, next week when we have a principal meeting on the 27th, it's going to be reiterated. What do we do in emergencies? And those procedures have been established ever since the horrific act took place in not just Columbine, but in 2001. There were certain procedures that every single administrator has to abide by in terms of notification to parents, also some practice drills. So we're going to be talking about that. I don't know what's happened prior to this, but the training has been given, now it's going to be reiterated.
Now our parents, this is what I'm saying, our parents are aware of the procedure.
One of the things that I know I'm doing is that we are pulling together in every school through Title I funds, and every one of our public schools, we have a parent liaison person, and the liaison person is now beginning to have workshops. In fact, now in our, we've never had parent rooms, and now in 2 of our schools we do. We have it at the Spruce Street School parent room, and we have it at Clifton. The whole room is designed so that we can give workshops so that parents will know the procedures. But I cannot answer that 100% of our parents know them.
Okay, because that's something that we need to know. I mean, we had a shooting tomorrow, parents would need to know what to expect.
I met with a community group. I met with community groups, and one of the things that we're trying to establish is to have class mothers. So that, for example, it was raised right now, if we have to close the school suddenly, or there's an incident that we have to be told, we have not only our internet network that we can do and flyers, but also that class mothers can then reach out to other mothers. So having a large network in Lakewood, that's what we're beginning to do. We're still in the meeting side of it.
Roxanne Martin.
Roxanne Martin, 26 Summer Drive. Tutoring program. This is supposed to start in the beginning of January. Haven't heard nothing yet. I have 2 children that need it. Weapons in the school and on the bus. You complain about it, they say they're taking care of it. How do I know what you did? I don't get a phone call back. What do I care, right? Uniforms. We have a policy in the school. You must wear uniforms. High school don't wear them. Middle school,
I was in the school, 10 minutes in the office. I saw 9 children with blue jeans on. Not one person said a word. Went out in the hall. I saw another 20 kids with blue jeans on. Guess what? My kids get in detention Saturday school for blue jeans. Who says who gets in trouble? One person? I have issue with that. Mine did Saturday school. What about these other kids? Oh, don't worry, Miss Martin, we got that under control. Right. Okay. Now, creative spelling. You have a policy about creative spelling. You take care of this. You're doing my child right. I've asked a couple of the parents. I've seen their children's work. A 5th grader. I asked him to read me his work. He couldn't read it. Why? His spelling. I couldn't even recognize it. 8th grader, same family. Same thing. I saw her paperwork. No corrections. She's still doing creative spelling in 8th grade. I have issues with that because my child is in 2nd grade. 8th grade, I don't want him creative spelling. That's it.
With regard to the SES program, it is scheduled to begin. We've already given out the contracts to all the vendors. The vendors are notifying parents. I think I indicated it in the last meeting. I wanted to hold off as long as possible. The State Education Department gave permission for us to do that so that the tutoring can be offered as close as possible to the test. So you should be notified if your child is eligible.
No, my child should be eligible because they need it. So how do you determine who's eligible and who's not?
The State Education Department gives us a very specific criteria. It's based on economics as well as academic need.
Okay,
And
later on, show me what my child is not tell me if they need it. I know
Okay.
they do.
I know.
Failing is the criteria, in my opinion.
In terms of the uniforms, yes, there is a mandatory uniforms, and I believe that especially in the middle school, children are given Saturday school for that and other infractors.
Who's
So-
checking it? One person?
4 minutes, Your Honor.
No, you talk to the other people. You're giving me my time.
I think as it relates,
I did it, but I'm not.
it's not going to be real popular, but, I have a kid in the middle school, and I got to tell you, it's a constant battle for me to get this kid to wear a uniform because of exactly what Ms. Martin said. There's blue jeans everywhere. People are not always wearing uniforms, but if he goes to school in jeans, I get phone calls at work all day long, and it is not categorically done across the board. And if we're going to have the policy, it's going to need to be enforced. And obviously, it's not being done at the building level, so we're going to have to make sure that it's fair and equitable, because I can tell you, I hang up on them. Don't call me, because I agree. I hear you, and we're going to have to address it because this has become an ongoing issue. I've been a proponent of uniforms, but uniforms can only be as good as the people who are enforcing them. And if they're not going to be enforced, it's very difficult to punish the kids who do wear them, and then to allow the ones who don't to slide. So it's a slippery slope that we're going to need to address because it's creating a huge problem at this point. And I agree with you. In the weapons, she said something about weapons on the bus, and I guess she brought the issue.
You did make phone calls. I know for a fact you received phone calls back because I had people call you back to investigate.
And that's what I said. Was it corrected?
It's in the process, yes. I don't have a final answer for you, but you received 2 phone calls in the process of investigations. Okay, you received
That was
one.
the day I left your office.
Correct. They called you immediately because it is a huge problem that we want to solve if that was exactly what happened. There was a lot of people that needed to be questioned, and there was a lot of students who didn't want to say anything. And in the same respect, I can't actually investigate if I call administrators to investigate, and then I'm told not to call administrators because you don't want to get them in trouble. Not you, but no one wants to get them in trouble. Or I can't question teachers about creative spelling because you don't want to get students.
Through the chair, I've been looking at the clock the entire time. Anybody who spoke prior to Ms. Martin was given exactly 4 minutes, not a second longer, and she's accusing us of doing something that we didn't do. So she should sit down, in my opinion.
Ball in order, please.
I just want to remind my fellow board members, as I stated when we had our very first person that comes up, that you may have opened up a can of worms. So now that you've opened it up,
She didn't speak longer than 4 minutes.
I'm
Leonard, I'm looking at the clock.
I'm not-
Right here, and we're following the clock, and she has no business saying that the other ones had more than 4 minutes.
Excuse me, she has a name.
Through the chair,
It's a she.
all in favor.
If you want to address her, you know,
All in
all I'm
order.
going to say is that, you know, if we wanted to do that, then we should have stayed the course. So now
We stayed the course. We did stay the course, Mr. President. We did stay the course. We're looking at the clock.
You can't choose which parts of the rule you want to abide by. You choose whether you're going to abide by the
That's fine. We
rule
abide by the
or if
rules.
you're going